අනුදින ජීවිතේ.
A very good evening to all our viewers and welcome to this Sunday's edition of Primetime News coming to you live from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. Let's take a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
Valuable Finance, best finance company.
Foreign Minister G.L. Peiris reaches India, set to meet Indian Prime Minister and other senior officials. IOC to increase fuel prices from midnight. Demands mount from Tamil Nadu to release Indian fishermen in Sri Lanka's custody. Body on the Vellavata beach identified as that of a Maldivian student. National Construction Association reveals details of a cement mafia. Moves to give away 65,000 acres of land in Bibilade to a Singaporean company met with opposition. Archaeologists highlight presence of artifacts on the land. India declares two-day period of mourning after Lata Mangeshkar's demise. 5-year-old Ryan's death leaves the world in tears.
Newsfirst headlines. Main sponsor.
Valuable Finance, best finance company.
And now the story is in detail. Sri Lanka's Foreign Minister Professor G.L. Peiris reached India for a 3-day official visit today.
Sri Lanka's Foreign Minister Professor G.L. Peiris was received by the Sri Lankan High Commissioner to India, Milinda Moragada, today. He is expected to discuss several matters, including the expansion of bilateral ties and cooperation between the two countries. The Foreign Minister is expected to meet India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. His visit is happening against a backdrop in which Sri Lanka is seeking a loan of $1 billion to overcome the country's financial crisis. The families of 55 Indian fishermen have requested Indian officials to intervene and ensure their return as they have been released by Sri Lanka's courts. The fishermen were released by the Point Pedro courts on the 25th of last month. The Indian fishermen have been moved to the Iyakachi camp in Kilinochchi after 48 of them had tested positive for COVID-19. They would be sent to the Jaffna prison and then to the Mirihana camp after completing their quarantine period today. 21 Indian fishermen who were arrested on the 1st of last month are to be produced at the Point Pedro court tomorrow.
Meanwhile, Fisheries Minister Douglas Devananda has assured that necessary arrangements will be made for Indian devotees to attend the Kachitivu festival. The ministry issuing a statement said that the Minister Douglas Devananda held discussions with a senior leader of the DMK party regarding the participation of Indian devotees in the Kachitivu festival. Yesterday, Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin urged the Indian central government to intervene and lift restrictions imposed by the Sri Lankan authorities on Indian fishermen visiting Kachitivu due to the COVID-19 situation.
The Frontline Socialist Party's General Secretary Kumar Gunaratnam has blamed the government for failing to resolve the issues of Sri Lankan fishermen. Due to the pro-Indian policy which they are developing gradually, they are not making any attempt to rescue Sri Lankan fishermen from the intervention of Indian entities. We can see that India's arbitrary political intervention is increasing gradually. The Rajapaksa administration in Sri Lanka is preparing the environment that is conducive to that. We will have to make massive changes in the country's politics in future. Basil Rajapaksa is focusing on how they can manage in the next 3 years. The first problem they have is the economic issue. They don't have dollars. The reserves have depleted. They have no way to import goods or medicine. The power crisis and the fuel crisis has affected the people. The people know that they will have to face power cuts. That's the situation today. Cadaver dogs on a mission to probe mysterious deaths.
The Lanka Indian Oil Company, or LIOC, says it will increase fuel prices from midnight. The price of octane 92 petrol has been increased by 7 rupees and would be sold at 184 rupees. Octane 95 petrol would be sold at 213 rupees as the price will be increased by 3 rupees from midnight. The price of diesel has been increased by 3 rupees a litre and will be sold at 124 rupees. Artifacts have been found on a land that is to be given to a Singaporean company for a sugarcane cultivation. The artifacts were detected during an inspection of land by archaeologists, historians and environmentalists today.
A 65,000-acre land in Dehegama is to be given to Singapore's Gazelle Ventures for a sugarcane cultivation. The land surrounds several forests that are rich in biodiversity. This includes the Nilgala Medicinal Forest Reserve, the Madhuroya Reserve and the Senanaika Reservoirs Forest Reserve. Environmentalists point out that the land is located within the water catchment areas of the Gala Oya, Madhuroya, Ulhitia Oya and Hapola Oya. The current occupants of most lands are indigenous community members of Tambana, Pollebadda and Ratukala.
A valuable resource is being destroyed. We oppose the destruction of this valuable resource. This land runs across 4 or 5 indigenous community villages. We have been living here for generations. Therefore, we can't tolerate this.
What is the archaeological value of this land? Archaeologists carried out an inspection of the land today. They identified an ancient stupa, ruins of a rock cave and other artifacts including a moonstone. Their inspection also uncovered ruins of an ancient wall and a small weber that continues to store water. The land in question also holds evidence on how weapons were made during the Anuradhapura era.
We must defeat this attempt. This is a massive crime. If the government goes ahead with this plan, we will have to face detrimental effects. We might have to seek the permission of that company to visit our heritage. They had given away a land in Dabulla without the knowledge of the archaeology department, and ultimately it was destroyed. A destruction that is worse than that may occur at this location.
What is the ecological importance of this land? More than 40% of the 4 environmental zones in Sri Lanka are part of this land. Gal Oya is rich in biodiversity and is home to 36 species of mammals, including spotted deer, elephants and leopards, and more than 150 species of birds. Environmentalists say that the forest in Padya Talava, Badulla, Ridhimaliyadda, Mahiyanganaya, Lunagala and Bintanna are now the remaining elephant habitats. They point that a land in Akiryankurumba, which has been identified as an elephant corridor, has also been decided to be leased for a sugarcane cultivation.
There are several species of animals that are endemic to this land. It is this land that they are trying to give away. The project is going to take place unlawfully. On one hand, they are forcefully taking control of the land. An environmental impactment assessment hasn't been carried out into the project either.
Lands in Palwatta, Hingurana and Kantale that were previously cleared to make way for sugarcane cultivation are now breeding grounds for the human-elephant conflict. Environmentalists point out that multinational companies involved in sugarcane cultivation acquire lands when they have sufficient water and fertilizer. However, they say that these companies move to lands in foreign countries as the soil begins to lose nutrients.
This land is only slightly smaller than Singapore. Although this is just a land for us, for those in Singapore, this is similar to a country. They are trying to give away these lands. They are planning to line their pockets by selling away these webers, ports, power plants and oil tanks. Now they are trying to sell 65,000 acres of this land. The people of Uwabel Lassa stood up to protect this country. They died here. Their bodies were buried here. We are not prepared to allow them to plant sugar canes on this land.
Farmers are opposing moves to reduce the height of the Pitawana, a device used to discharge excessive water from the Nuwara River in Anuradhapura. They say that this is to be done to facilitate a hotel construction project.
This is the map of the survey department. Why are they doing this? They are doing this to protect the lands of Minister Chandrasena. This is the location of Minister Chandrasena's house. They filled this area with sand. Now they have brought it to this level. What is indicated in green is the water levels of the Weber. Now they are proposing to demarcate the boundaries in a way that Chandrasena's pools and lands are covered within this boundary.
Minister S.M. Chandrasena had rejected these accusations recently.
Minister Chandrasena had said that his land is located half a kilometre from this location. If it's half a kilometre away, his land must be on the other side of the road. It's clear that his land is located near the Weber. The district secretary says he isn't aware of that and that he doesn't have the power to do it. We have the act published in 1979 relating to the recovery of possession of state lands. The powers vested in this act were increased in the amendment number 27 of 1997. This allows cases to be filed against this. The irrigation director says that inspections were carried out using drones. They wouldn't have used drone cameras. Otherwise, they would have seen this.
2,600 acres of paddy lands receive water during both cultivation seasons from the Noor Weber that can hold 36,049 cubic feet of water. About 5,000 families depend on farming, while more than 30,000 families meet their water requirements from the Weber.
Time for a short commercial break. Stay with News First. We will be right back.
Valuable Finance, best finance company.
Tech Bus. The first phase of the Tech Bus initiative, successfully held at St. Andrews College in Puttalam.
ස්ලිප් තායතනයත් එක්ක බොහොම සාර්ථක වැඩසටහනක් කරා. සමාජ මාධ්‍ය ජාල ගොඩක් පාවිච්චි කරනවා. කොහොමද ආරක්ෂිතව අපේ වැඩ කරගන්නේ කියලා ලොකු දැනුමක් හම්බුණා. අපේ අයට ලොකු දැනුමක් ලැබුණා කියලා මම හිතනවා. ඇත්තටම බෙහෙවින් මිස්තුතියි.
මේ මෙහෙවර සාර්ථක වේවා කියලා ඊට සිතින් ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනවා.
Tech Bus.
Organised by Slit Institute.
Tech Bus.
Main sponsor.
Slit Knowledge University, challenging convention and redefining education.
Welcome back to the news. The police say one of the two bodies found on the Valavatta beach yesterday is of a Maldivian. The identity was established upon conducting investigations into the deaths.
Crime Watch.
A man's body was spotted by the police while floating in the seas off Valavatta yesterday. They are yet to identify the body. The body of another male was then found on the beach near Ramakrishna Place in Valavatta. This was approximately 300 meters from the location where the first body was discovered. A knife was also discovered near the body which had stab injuries. Police cadaver dog Rex was brought to the location as investigations were conducted. Is there any connection between the two bodies? There is no definite explanation in this regard so far. Senior police spokesperson, Senior DIG Ajit Rohana said the victim with stab wounds was identified as a 24-year-old Maldivian student. Maldivian media recently reported that 24-year-old Afam Nazir, a Maldivian student who was residing in Sri Lanka, had disappeared. Police said his relatives had last seen him on Friday while wearing a black shirt. He was a resident of the Hivala who was following his higher studies on business administration at a private institute in Nugegoda. In an exclusive interview with Newsfirst, the victim's guardian in Sri Lanka said the 24-year-old Maldivian student was a friendly and active person. According to the local guardian, the student has left the Hivala residence with his laptop to visit a friend.
Crime Watch.
Leaves the world in tears.
stories took the international arena today. Ryan, the Moroccan boy who was stuck in a well, died before rescue today. While in India, the nightingale of Bollywood, Lata Mangeshkar, also bade farewell today. Naviksha Gunasekar, who joins us from the newsroom, will bring you more details.
When 5-year-old Ryan was rescued last night from a well in Morocco, people were in delight that he would survive. But however, this joy turned into a grief when he was pronounced dead shortly after being rescued. Let's now take a look at this story.
Five-year-old Ryan had plunged 32 meters through the narrow opening of a well in Morocco 4 days ago. What followed was a painstaking rescue effort before the boy was brought out of the well last evening. The apparent rescue was initially met with cheers from the crowds standing nearby, but this turned to heartbreak minutes later when the Morocco Royal Palace announced that Ryan had died. Moroccan King Mohammed expressed his condolences to the boy's parents and had spoken to them directly. Rescuers had begun digging a massive hole next to the well to reach the boy in their efforts that ran through nights. They had used a rope to send oxygen and water down to the boy, as well as a camera to monitor him. However, Ryan has departed on a journey, never to return again.
While we hear that sad news from Morocco, let's cross over to India. Lata Mangeshkar, who was known as the Nightingale of India, passed away at the age of 92 today. Lata was one of the most beloved artists of Bollywood, who was a voice behind hundreds of soundtracks of blockbuster Bollywood movies. India entered a 2-day mourning period where the national flag will be flown at half-mast throughout the country.
Legendary Indian singer Lata Mangeshkar passed away at around 8 this morning. Dr. Prateek Samdani, who was treating her at a hospital in Mumbai, said she was hospitalized in early January. This was after she tested positive for COVID-19 and was also diagnosed with pneumonia. Lata Mangeshkar was admitted to the ICU with mild symptoms and was recovering slowly. However, her condition deteriorated yesterday and she was back on ventilator support. Lata Mangeshkar, referred to as the Nightingale of India, stepped into singing at the age of 13 and recorded her first song in 1942. In her career spanning 7 decades, she has to her credit over 30,000 songs in different languages, including Hindi, Bengali and Marathi. This includes popular tracks like Didi Tera Devar Diwana and Dil To Pagal. Lata Mangeshkar is also popular among Sri Lanka's audience for her song Sirudaru Heladiva Puratane, which continues to resonate among the people in Sri Lanka.
Moving on to more local stories, the operators of a ship that sunk in the sea of Sri Lanka say it will take at least until February 2023 to remove the wreck. The Express Pearl ship carrying chemicals had sunk in Sri Lanka in June last year, damaging the country's marine ecosystem.
Express Feeders, the operators of the Express Pearl ship when it sunk in Sri Lanka in June last year, said the remains will be removed in 4 stages. The company said it has almost completed removing all container remains and cargo debris as the first phase since November last year. It said the second step would involve making arrangements to lift the wreck and that it will begin in November this year. Under stage 3, the wreck would be removed completely from Sri Lankan waters using 2 lifted barges in February 2023. The wreck is to be disposed completely by September 2023. The ship was carrying chemicals including 25 tons of nitric acid when it sunk, causing marine animals like turtles, whales and dolphins to die. Sri Lanka has only obtained $3.6 million worth of compensation so far, despite the massive destruction. Unfortunately, an audit has revealed that the law of the land is insufficient to obtain maximum compensation.
A sport that could find its capital right here in Sri Lanka and challenges the mind, body and soul. The art and sport of climbing.
Soaring cement prices and the shortage of cement have affected Sri Lanka's construction sector. Today, the National Construction Association alleged that a mafia was behind these issues.
Although the price tag on a cement bag reads as 1,575 rupees, cement can't be purchased in Sri Lanka at that cost. Those in the construction industry can't survive by purchasing cement at 2,000, 1,900 and 2,500 rupees. This is a mafia. The business community has created a mafia in terms of cement. That is because 75% of the cement that enters the Sri Lankan market is sold to dealers first. There are about 8,000 dealership stores. Can we buy cement at this rate? Is there a cement shortage in the country?
නෑ ඉතින් සිමෙන්ති නෑ රටේ ඉතින් කොයිද සිමෙන්ති තියෙන්නේ අපිටත් මේ සිමෙන්ති නැතුව මේ වැලි ටිකේම ඉතුරුයි දැන් 1375ට පාලන මිලට නම් නෑ කොහෙවත් සිමෙන්ති නැති නිසා අපේ ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකම වැටලා තියෙන්නේ
අවශ්‍ය ඕඩර්ස් අපිට හම්බ වෙනවා ලැබුණා වුණාට දෙන්න ප්‍රමාණවත් විදිහට අපිට දෙන්න නිෂ්පාදනය කරන්න සිමෙන්ති නැහැ
අද වෙනකොට සිමෙන්ති කොට්ටයක් 2000යි 1900 ඒ ගානට ගන්නවත් නැහැ
The State Minister of Consumer Affairs says that the shortage of cement would decline in the next 2 weeks. State Minister Lasantha Alagiyawanna said there is a shortage of cement as production has dropped. He added that the issue would be resolved after a cement factory is open next month. The State Minister said any cement company has not requested for a revision in prices. The president of the Sri Lanka National Construction Association, Susantha Liyanarachis, said officials haven't taken steps to address the cement shortage and the presence of substandard cement in the local market. The Sri Lanka Communist Party's former General Secretary Diu Gunasekara commented on the reason for the rice crisis yesterday. The people don't know the reason for this crisis. There are only 4 or 5 rice millers in the country. They are all linked to the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. 46% of the rice is produced by them. They hold these stocks and then decide the prices. What they decide stays as the price in the market. No one goes against them.
Meanwhile, the rising cost of eggs have affected poultry farmers, even leading to the closure of some farms.
Eggs can be commonly found at stores and supermarkets across the country, but now fewer people are buying them due to its rising cost. The low demand has affected poultry farmers like those in Kurunegala.
We used to buy poultry feed at about 3,000 rupees and sell eggs at 15 rupees or 16 rupees. Although we spend 6,000 rupees on poultry feed, we still have to sell eggs at around 16 or 17 rupees. How can we earn profits? I'm considering taking to the streets over this.
දවසින් දවස රැ එළියනකොට මේ කෑම මිල ආස උසර නගිනවා. ඉතින් මේ කරගන්න බෑනේ.
දැන් ඉතින් මේ අපි වහලා දාලා තමයි මේ තියෙන්නේ. විශේෂයෙන් අද වෙනකොට රයිස් පොලිස්, හුණුසහල්, සෝයා ඒ වගේම බඩඉරිඟු මිල ඉතාමත්ම ශීඝ්‍රයෙන් ඉහළ ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනවා.
අද බිත්තර ගෙඩියක් නිෂ්පාදන පිරිවැය විතරක්.
The production cost of an egg stands at around 20, 21 and 22 rupees. But today we can't even sell eggs at 15 rupees. If no one intervenes to protect this industry, then only a few of us would be left. We can't prevent the cost of an egg from rising up to 50 rupees in that instance.
ඉතුරු වෙලා බිත්තර ගෙඩිය රුපියල් 50ට යන්නේක වළක්වන්න බෑ.
Energy Minister Udaya Gammanpilla has presented 5 proposals to resolve the country's economic crisis. I personally have a question whether everyone has understood the magnitude of the massive economic crisis. While many are discussing about this, it is often interpreted as a problem caused due to COVID-19. But I don't accept that. We can't overcome this crisis only if we have the mentality that a true Sri Lankan will only use what is produced here. I have 5 proposals to overcome the economic crisis. First, we must accept that there is a crisis. Second, we must identify what the problem is. The third is to tell the truth to the people instead of lying after identifying the issue. We must put forward a plan to come out of this crisis within a set period. The fifth is that the leaders of this country should set an example to the people instead of just talking about matters. We can overcome this crisis if we follow these 5 steps.
මෙන්න මේ පංච පියවර ගත්තොත් පමණක් අපි මේ ඉන්න අර්බුදයෙන් ගොඩ යන්න අපිට පුළුවන් වෙයි.
The government recently announced that it will sell wheat flour to estate workers at a concessionary rate of 80 rupees. State Minister of Estate Housing and Community Infrastructure Jeevan Thondaman said a kilo of wheat flour will be sold at 80 rupees from yesterday. However, the estate community has not received anything to that effect.
රුපියල් 80කට තමයි දෙනවා කිව්වේ. ඉතින් කඩයකට ගිහිල්ලා අපි පිටි කිලෝයක් ගන්න ගියාම 220ක් 225ක් කියනවා.
Newsfirst made inquiries about this matter from the Ministry of Trade, Bandula Gunawardena. He said flour can be sold at concessionary rates after obtaining cabinet approval next week.
Details have come to light that about 45 MPs have failed to pay water bills for their official residences.
Some MPs and ministers have failed to settle water bills for their official residences. They have said it must be settled using the Finance Ministry's funds as the official residences have been allocated by ministries. Ministry of Water Supply Vasudevan Anayakara said ministry officials have informed him that the water bills can't be settled as there is no mechanism to pay it. He said a final decision would be taken on this matter after informing the cabinet about this. The minister noted that legal action may be taken against those parliamentarians and ministers based on the cabinet's response. Meanwhile, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa said that Sri Lanka, the granary of East, recently celebrated its independence, while the Minister of Consumer Affairs is requesting rice from Pakistan.
Now we celebrated our independence with great pride because our country is called the granary of the East. Our trade minister went to Pakistan. The finance minister, who is known for having 7 brains, is saying that he wrote to the IMF and said that the IMF has agreed to provide its assistance. It took a few hours for the IMF to say that no such request for assistance was sent to them and that they have no idea about this at all. Who is the government trying to deceive?
The opposition leader made these remarks while attending an event to hand over a water purification system for the people of Nedigamvilla in Hambantota. This project will provide relief to more than 700 families in the area and incur a cost of 2 million rupees.
Sri Lanka's first group of women soldiers left the country yesterday to take part in a peacekeeping mission in Lebanon.
75 Sri Lankan military personnel left for Lebanon to take part in a 1-year peacekeeping mission yesterday. They are the first batch of 125-member Sri Lankan contingent that would participate in the mission. The contingent includes 7 female officers. They make up Sri Lanka's first group of female soldiers to take part in a peacekeeping mission in Lebanon.
As female soldiers, we executed our duties well in Sri Lanka. We hope to remain committed to do it even better during our mission.
Sri Lankan soldiers have been taking part in peacekeeping missions in Lebanon since 2010.
Rock climbing at the Kodikahakanda Sanctuary, which is just an hour's drive from Colombo, is one of Sri Lanka's unique spots that can attract tourists. News First, Nisal Surarachi visited the location to tell us what lies within this sanctuary.
Sri Lanka is one of the world's popular tourist attractions that is blessed with abundant natural resources. The massive mountains, beautiful rivers with pristine waters and cascading waterfalls attract tourists from around the world to enjoy their holidays. The Kodigahakanda Sanctuary, which is almost an hour's drive from Colombo, is a hidden spot that provides a memorable experience for locals and tourists. Our News First team visited the sanctuary to unravel the beauty and the secrets that lie within this haven for biodiversity.
We're at an unusual place and we're here to do something out of the ordinary. We're here at the Kodigahakanda Sanctuary and we'll see what lies ahead of us. It's a difficult terrain, but let's see how it goes.
The growing demand for adventure sports and the need for an unforgettable experience has seen countries now opening up to different types of tourism. Sri Lanka, the wonder of Asia, is blessed with a plethora of sites that provide both local and foreign tourists with an experience that they will never forget for a lifetime. Shrouded by the Kodigahakanda Sanctuary is Sri Lanka's only natural rock that provides a space for the sport of rock climbing, a challenging but one-of-a-kind experience. Climb Lanka, which manages the rock climbing location, provides a unique experience for anyone who is up for the challenge of navigating a tough surface.
50 aspiring political leaders making up the first cohort of the Centenary Academy graduated recently at the movement's inaugural graduation ceremony.
The event was held under the patronage of Deputy Commissioner of the Elections Commission, Mr. P.A.A. Senaratna. Distinguished dignitaries who make up the Advisory Council of the Centenary Movement were also present. The first cohort of 50 carefully selected batches of graduates include 33 males and 17 female members representing 17 districts. The Centenary Academy is a diverse, results-driven political movement with a 2048 vision of creating a progressive, well-trained, competent generation of political leaders for Sri Lanka who will transform the political, economic and social landscape of the country.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us. For the News First team, I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka, together with our interpreter this evening, Brian De Cruz. Good night.